we have more success? Fuck. Well, we've got our guest of honor. We've got your guy. No, what's up, everybody? So, I have some stuff for you today. We're going to talk about Obama saying that aliens are real. I believe him. I don't know. You can disbelieve him, but I believe him. And we're also going to talk about how it's day 3 of the DHS shutdown, the wonderful DHS shutdown brought on by the pressure that the people of Minnesota brought against the United States government and its horrible decision under the Trump administration to basically try and oppress blue cities and blue states across the nation. Yeah. So we're also finally going to cover the fact that talks are happening with Iran, right? But as those talks are happening, the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps is doing exercises in the Strait of Hormuz, and the U.S. military is doing a buildup of Navy ships and assets and stuff like that in the Gulf. So, or in the Mediterranean, I don't remember. Whichever one is the sea that's closest to Iran. I forget if it's one of the, like, I forget what they're called. The ones that are south of that region. Welcome back. Welcome back. Well, thank you. Make sure y'all hit that like button. You know what to do. You guys are my flying monkeys, and you are responsible for carrying this stream in your claws to other people and dropping it in their laps. Did you just spit on the floor? No, I have a trash can. I just produce too much mucus, and if I don't do something with it, it just gives me indigestion, you know? I have a trash can, though. I'm at least that civilized. I want to get on live. Well, that's another thing we have for you guys tonight. I decided that it was a bit cruel of me not to give you all a little bit more opportunity to earn a segment. So if we get if we get $21 in this stream, then at 10 o'clock tonight, I'm going to do a stream on my desktop where I can have people come in. I might do a preparatory stream on mobile just to let everybody know, to announce it and everything, but then we'll go on a desktop, and I will have a number of ways that people can get on stream and have a conversation. So if you're interested in seeing that, please contribute to the goal by donating as little as $1 or as much as 21, because that will get that goal accomplished for everybody. And it'll be super fun. If we don't end up getting any callers, if your guy is not able to come on at that time, then, you know, we'll just take a look at some Von Helton and J-Dub's content, some old Brett Keane orbiter lol cow dudes. They're crazy. They're wild. Their lives are a mess right now. But you know what? I want to see if I can reach out to them and extend the hand of advice and love. But the only way to see that is by paying up. Anyway. Are you smart? No, I'm a dumbass. I'm a total idiot. Are you a boy or a girl? I'm a girl. I love your look. Well, thank you. I like my look too. It's nice. It's so fancy. No, I don't know. So, did you guys hear that Obama said that aliens are real? We finally got confirmation from a U.S. president that aliens are in fact real. Of course, we also have confirmation from a U.S. president in that same clip that they're not being held at Area 51. So that's kind of unfortunate. I would have liked to get confirmation on both. That would have been cool. The Air Force confirmed it a few years back. No, they kind of did, but there was still language, and it was still vague enough. It was still vague enough that you could kind of be like, I don't know. But this is as good as confirmation as we're probably ever going to get. It is really wild. I don't know why I should disbelieve him. What with the Air Force's statements a few years back, with all the Navy pilots and Air Force pilots and stuff like that that have come out saying that aliens are real or that they had this encounter that they can't explain or something like that. So I believe him. I believe Mr. President. And he thinks the homeless people in California are out of control. Who does? Who, Obama? I mean, that sounds like a neo-lib, doesn't it? Yeah, of course. Like, whatever. I don't think Obama is like the great symbol of leftism's vanguard in America, but he was the president of the United States. And if he says aliens are real, I'm going to trust it. Like, literally, if fucking Trump came out and said, yeah, aliens are real, I would trust it too. Because, like I figure he knows, and there's no political dimension to it. Like, aliens are like the one goddamn thing that haven't been successfully politicized in this goddamn country. You think about it, every other thing we talk about in common everyday parlance has been politicized. Not aliens. You can be a Democrat and think that aliens are real. You can be a Republican and think that aliens are real. You can be a Democrat and think that aliens are a crock of shit. You can be a Republican and think that aliens are a crock of shit. It's the one non-political endeavor left in America. Aliens will unite us 100%. Aliens will be the uniting force. Dude, so many fiction writers have predicted it, you know. What is it, the Posadists who think that we're going to like almost annihilate ourselves in a nuclear war and then aliens are going to swoop down and save us? I mean, Posadism could happen according to Mr. Obama. So make sure you guys are hitting that like button, by the way. I can't believe we have 124 viewers, but we only have 5 likes. That is depressing. Come on, hit that button. Double tap your screen. Do what you have to do. Feed my ego, my ever-thirsty, hungry ego. We need Obama back. No, we don't need to fucking break this term limits thing. Term limits are good. Trust me. New blood is a good thing. And, dude, another thing I saw Obama was talking about in a different and unrelated thing, because he's kind of at that stage in his life where he's like doing more podcast appearances and talking about his thoughts on politics from kind of like the removed position of, oh, I was president 10 years ago. So, but he said something that I think it's literally so poignant, because I was making the point yesterday. Yesterday, I was going on this rant about how Democrats they have to allow the party to be taken over by younger people with more progressive ideas. I ranted about it for like 45 minutes yesterday. Well, this morning, I read something that Obama was saying last week or something, basically saying that the Democratic Party needs to do that they need to ingratiate younger people into the party, that they need to allow the leadership to be replaced finally by younger fucking people. And even he was like, I don't know half the stuff my daughters are telling me about this TikTok and this YouTubes and none of this. And I'm an old man now. I don't really know what's going on. So when people say we need Obama back, it's just like, are people really thinking about what the operative issues are? Why we're as fucked as we are? Part of the reason why we're as fucked as we are is because we keep electing geriatrics. Even if we didn't have term limits, I wouldn't want Obama now. When Obama was first elected, Obama was a really young presidential candidate, one of the youngest people to ever run for the office. Now, he's way older. You got to remember, Obama ran for office 20 years ago. Okay? Man's 65 now. Anyone know when the meteor is coming? I don't think the meteor is coming, y'all. We need to figure out how to fix this country. We need to figure out how to live together. It reminds me of that old political ad, right? Reminds me of that old political ad that the Johnson administration put out when they were trying to win re-election. I think it was when they were trying to win re-election or win their first full term or whatever. They put out this ad that was like, now is the time when the stakes are highest. We must learn how to live together. We must learn to love each other or die. Vote President Johnson, goddamn, we are in that position again, y'all. I feel like the next Democrat needs to run an ad like that, literally. Just fucking, they need to do the same thing with the shot into the little girl's eyes and this, 10, 9, 8, 7, they need to do that, fucking replicate that Johnson ad, and you've got you a winning candidate, okay? No, actually, in order to do that, they're going to have to select a viable candidate. And unless they follow mine and Obama's advice, the Democrats ain't going to have an electable candidate in 2028, sister. They're going to have a fucking Gavin Newsom that ain't a goddamn soul outside of California going to vote for. Not out of fucking a desire to actually vote for them. They might vote against Trump, like has happened in the last few cycles when he's ran. Pretty easy to get somebody to vote against Trump. The Democrats have had an increasingly hard time getting you to vote for Dickie McGee's acts. Red and blue, they don't care about you or me. I agree, but with a caveat. I think that regular people, working class people, whose interests align with the vast majority of Americans, like, for example, 76% of Americans want a universal healthcare system. Widespread majority of Americans agree on abortions being accessible and legal. Widespread agreement here in America on things like student loan relief and free higher education. We could turn the Democratic Party into a party that would fight for these interests. Certainly, we could do that more easily than we could turn the Republican Party into such a party. And I think that we're at a critical time right now in these midterms and in the elections in 2028. We are at a critical time. Is the Democratic Party going to allow itself to be turned into a leftist party of progressive action, or will it allow itself to become irrelevant and subsumed into the Republican Party? Because that's the collision course that they're headed on right now. That is the course the Democrats are on right now. If they don't change their ways, if they don't change their tactic, they will be subsumed by the Republicans. And there will have to be some third party that emerges to capture the millions of people who will leave them in the wake of that. They already gone far left? Bullshit. You obviously didn't listen to the Democratic debates in 2020 or in 2024. Any of the fucking positions that people were taking in the Democratic Party back then. You can't even get a Democrat to agree on universal health care unless their name is Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. Literally everybody else on the 2020 Democratic debate stage wanted to sell you some kind of private healthcare insurance bullshit, Obamacare 2.0 nightmare fuel. Literally every single other motherfucker on that stage. So don't tell me the Democrats have gone far left when they've been scooped to the right for the last 20 years. Joey Fangas with the $5. Thank you so much. If you guys would like to have your donation read or answered like the one I'm about to do with Joey, please consider donating. You can also do it by the Cash App, which is down below. Dems are doing a disservice, won't commit to left ideas for fear of losing moderates. Meanwhile, majority of Republicans are leaning into online right. Exactly. This is what I'm talking about, Joey. The Democrats need to give up on this idea of capturing the moderate voter. The moderate voter is looking to vote for something more left. And the only reason that they'll vote for a Republican is out of spite for the Democrats being unable to and unwilling to actually commit to anything. I'm not going to sit here and fucking lecture anyone about the intelligence of the median voter or anything like that. But when you have one party that is openly right-wing, openly right wing and willing to do those things and willing to take whatever actions and go through whatever corruption it has to do to get that done. And then you have another party that sometimes pays lip service to left ideals but never actually works to implement them. You have an entire giant group of people in the country that have nobody to vote for. They might be able to vote against the party they think is the greater evil, but they've got nothing to vote for, and that's killing. That's killing any hope of progressive action on a legal level in this country. Our only other hope, besides reforming the Democratic Party and making it into something that works for us instead of the billionaire class, our only other hope is to just hit the streets for 4 fucking years until, regardless of who's in office, we've got some basic measures done that we've all agreed on for a very long time. I'm 11 and my mom got deported today. That's horrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, good luck. That's awful. The Democrat Party is collapsing. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like, they've got, right now, they can either continue into irrelevancy, they can continue into collapse, or they can allow themselves to be subsumed by the leftists and progressives that are trying to work their way throughout the party. It's horrible to deport a criminal. The vast majority of people who've been deported or have been detained by ICE have not been criminals. Over 76%. Over 3/4 of the people who've been detained by ICE since Trump took power have been people with no criminal record. Make sure you guys hit that like button, by the way. Double tap your screen or hit the button if you've got one. Either way will help immensely. Oh, also, Joey, I don't know if I actually said it, but thank you for the $5 earlier. I do appreciate it. If you would like to make sure your comment or question gets read or answered, consider sending a super chat or donate to my Cash App, which is down below. Either way, I will read the note or the super chat, and you can have your voice added to the discourse. Be nice to our president? No. It is a time-honored American tradition to speak truth to power, to be angry with your president, to be angry with your senator, to be angry with your representative. That's the whole point of freedom of speech within a democracy. Boy or girl? A girl. No one is giving you money. Somebody's already given me 5, and I've only been streaming for 17 minutes and 43 seconds. But hey, you might be right. Maybe nobody else will give this stream. If they don't, you know what? I will somehow wake up tomorrow, believe it or not. You're not a girl? Okay. If you say so. My doctors think I am. My therapist thinks I am. I think I am. I think we're all pretty much in agreement. Like, the medical science behind trans people is pretty firm, but some retard online said nuh-uh. So I guess I've just got to change my entire life and everything about my presentation because you said so. Great argument, by the way. Stellar argument. We taking Greenland? I don't think Europe's going to give us Greenland. We're taking a little bit more power in Greenland based on a deal that was made, but I don't think Europe's going to give us Greenland wholesale. I think that is a conservative fantasy. It is a truth social fueled dream that is not reflected in forecastable reality. Do you play guitar? I do. I don't know if I'd exactly be in the best position to play today, but my hand's not hurting as much as it has been. Long live the Islamic Republic. Well, speaking of the Islamic Republic of Iran, so there's supposedly talks going on in Geneva between Iran's foreign minister and the United States. There's this big kerfuffle going on there. But while all that's going on, the U.S. is doing a military buildup near Iran, and Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, what a fucking mouthful. They are doing exercises in the Strait of Hormuz. So it seems like both countries are kind of trying to flex their muscles and do this gunship diplomacy thing. It's not looking good. I feel like talks in the past that have happened under those auspices have not led to a whole lot of productive outcomes. So I would not expect much from these talks in Geneva. Let's do this real quick. Alrighty. Hit that subscribe button if you want to continue to talk in the chat. This is just to filter out some of the spam bots that are coming through. Obviously, I don't want to censor anybody. We appreciate a wide, diverse group of opinions here. But ultimately, I can't read the chat if it's full of nothing but spam bots. So, dirty commie. Thanks, Robbie. I appreciate the £2. You got me. The dirtiest of commies. Yeah, I was just talking about how there's nothing going to happen because of these talks in Geneva. Both countries are doing gunship diplomacy. And when you've got two countries that both have like developed militaries, because say what you will about Iran, it's not fucking Palestine, okay? Iran is not Palestine. There's a reason why Israel has never just gone and conquered Iran, okay? It's because Iran has a developed military. They have trading partners. They've got oil. They've got what they need to actually put up somewhat of a fight. I mean, I think that a strong enough invasive force, a strong enough coalition force could probably take them pretty easily, but it would not be without loss of life. So when you've got two countries both engaging in gunship diplomacy against one another, the chances that something good is going to come out of that drastically fall. They fall drastically. Would you say Islam is compatible with the U.S. culture? I think on an individual atomized level, yes. Do I think Islamic jurisprudence should ever be brought to United States jurisprudence? Hell no. Hell to the fuck no. On an individual level, I think anybody should be able to practice whatever religion they want to, and I think you should be able to run your house along those lines. But on a broader societal level, the protections that afford them that ability to practice their religion need to protect everybody, including their family members, from them should they choose to do something that violates the societal cultural norms that we've got here that protect human life more than Islamic jurisprudence does. No, I'm a big critic of Islam. Just because I'm a little bit more friendly to the average Muslim and a little bit more friendly to the average Muslim country than your average political commentator in the modern day American political discourse environment doesn't mean that I'm any friend to the religion itself. You learned to open panel yet? No, I don't think I have. I don't know what that means. Islam would have you shamed, humiliated, and killed, my friend? Well, did I say anything about... Hold on. You literally just heard me make a statement critical of Islam and talking about how I would never introduce Islamic jurisprudence into the United States judicial system. But now you're going to act like I'm some friend to Islam? Dude, I'm a friend to Muslims. I'm a friend to Muslims. I'm not a friend to fucking Islam as a religion. What's your opinion on the Islamic revolution that is growing in America? There's not one. It's a fucking psyop. I'm kidding. I'm not even kidding you. It is a psyop. You need to look into this. There is no international terror network. The idea that there is one is literally a piece of CIA propaganda that was planted in Europe specifically to discredit the Soviet Union, and it is a piece of propaganda that grew into its own mythology and has escaped the fucking bounds of what it was originally intended for. It does not actually reflect reality. You need to look into this. This is not bullshit that I'm coming up with off the top of my head. You can watch documentaries about this. You can look into the CIA's own statements about this shit. There is no international terror network. And there's certainly not an international terror network of fucking Islamic terrorists. There are isolated Islamic terror events that happen all over the world, but usually people claim adherence to some movement after the fact, or it's some splintered off faction that's got no real communion with the broader movement. See Fat Electrician's vid when Iran messed with USA? I'll check it out, Joey. You gave me the $2. I'll try and check it out. I'll try and remember. By the way, if we get up to $21 in this stream, I'm going to be doing another stream at 10 p.m. on the desktop where I will have live callers. So if you've ever wanted to debate me live, you'll have the opportunity at 10 p.m. CST tonight if we get up to 21. We are currently $11.26 away. Do you like Charlie Kirk? I mean, I respect what Charlie Kirk did for a living. I respect um the idea of someone being able to make a living basically doing what I do, talking shit online and arguing with people, but I did not much respect what Charlie Kirk had to say rhetorically. And I think that he was basically like a closet Christian nationalist, maybe even a closet like Christian white nationalist. He said a lot of disagreeable things over the course of his career, but despite all that, I will say this much. I don't think he deserved to be shot dead like a dog on the street. Just like I don't think Alex Pretty deserved to be shot dead like a dog on the street. Just like I don't think Renee Good deserved to be shot dead like a dog on the street. I think if you can't agree with the tragedy, the horribleness, the unique fucking depravity of all three of these murders, you are a person without a soul. What do you feel like abortions? I mean, when I was with my ex, we had to get a medically induced abortion because they had blighted ovum. So basically, they'd gotten pregnant. Um, it started to develop, and then the embryo was reabsorbed by the body, but the body didn't quite get the memo, and the amniotic sac continued to fill, and the hormones continued to fluctuate, and all that. So they had to have a medically induced abortion. It was one of the most horrible medical procedures I've ever sat next to someone bedside with. And as a result, I know for a fact that nobody is using it for birth control. I know that nobody would ever choose to abuse it the way I've heard conservatives cite women as doing. So I am in wide support of widespread abortion measures to make sure that people are protected and allowed to get the medical procedures that are necessary to ensure their health. Because I prioritize the health of a potential mother over the health of some future human being that may or may not come to be if all the conditions line up just perfectly, just so. If I go live, want to join? Maybe. I mean, I'm like, man, this is gonna sound horrible, but tonight we're really popping off in a way we haven't done in a while. So I kind of want to keep this like viewership crest going if I can. But when are you thinking about going live? Like right now or later or what? You're right, they might use it as that once, but after going through it, they're not doing it again. Yeah, exactly. Like, someone might be really stupid and not use birth control one night during a one-night stand and doesn't get the plan B and shit, and then 2 weeks later, they find out or fucking 4 weeks later, whatever it is, 6 weeks later, they find out they're pregnant. They go through that, medically induced abortion or, like, a full medical abortion procedure, and they're never gonna wanna go through that again. Trust me, like, it does not take much for someone to learn why birth control and protection is such a useful thing. How do you feel about slavery in other countries? I mean, I'm like broad opponent of human rights abuses wherever they happen, but I'm also very cautious as an American to talk about what exactly other countries are doing as if my country isn't engaging in many of those same human rights abuses. I care way more about the slavery that happens in American prisons than I do about the slavery that happens in Somalia because, well, I'm an American that has to care about the depravity my country is engaging in first. That doesn't mean I don't have any empathy for the slavery going on in Somalia. I certainly do. I hope that the movements over there to liberate people succeed. But I can't really do anything much about them. I don't speak their language. I don't use their currency. What I can do something about is telling people about the types of slavery that is still normalized here in America, which is prison slavery. There are millions of people incarcerated in this country working for pennies, basically, an hour, that hardly earn enough to keep up with their own maintenance and have to regularly rely on supply from regular channels, which is uh, always bound to slowness and unresponsiveness. Damn, where did you let yourself go? All right. Thanks for the $2. Now we're only $9 away from our goal. So yeah, keep that in mind, guys. Only $9 away, and we will do a call-in stream later tonight at 10 p.m. You need to learn open panels. I agree. Is that something you can do in StreamYard or what? Math Pig. If someone murders a person, should they go to prison? Yeah, definitely. But American prisons are not the most effective way to treat crime. I would reform the prisons to a massive extent if I was ever given the reins of power. Do you believe in an open border policy? I mean, eventually, sure, yeah. Like eventually, on a long time scale, I think that we could all be united under one common governmental structure, under one like common idea of humanity, and we can just visit wherever we want to and go wherever we want to. Would I do that tomorrow? No, I wouldn't do that tomorrow. There are like big structural reasons why that would be a bad idea. Number one, we could only do it for our country tomorrow. And if we just did it for our country, then there's all kinds of countries with really bad problems that are just going to start like there's just, giant boatloads of people are going to be rowing to America because it's not like, like the big open West again, right? But if every country did it at once, we wouldn't have that problem. So it's one of those things where we need to build out a structure for collaboration between countries and for easier immigration between countries. We don't necessarily need to start with a giant open border tomorrow immediately. I like an idea I've talked a lot about is like, what if there was a Schengen area between Canada, America, and Mexico and Central America, to where anybody that like you born in one, you can work in any of them. You born in one, you can visit any of them. This would eliminate the utter lack of like one of the biggest problems in our immigration system is that like we just don't let people in to come and do the things that people actually do when they get here. Does that make sense? Like people will like ultimately a big reason why a big reason why people immigrate to America is to work jobs like in factories and agricultural positions and shit like that. And we have very few work permits open for that kind of thing that allow someone to settle year round. It's usually like a limited thing, and then they overstay their visa, and then they're in some stage of like either at that point they're just fully undocumented and they're not like cooperating with the immigration courts at all, or they are cooperating with immigration courts and they're in like this like limbo status. Like we could eliminate so many of our immigration problems by just establishing a common standard of like common employability and travel between these four regions. Giving up political based stuff for Lent. Happy this chat is popping off tonight, at least. Good stuff. Hey, Joey. That's you know what? One of the few things I actually like about Catholics, that's a lie. I like plenty of things about Catholics. I think you guys are cool. But one of the cool things about Catholics is that I notice some of you guys engage in other forms of sacrifice during Lent too. And I think that actually like structured, planned like personal sacrifices can be good for personal development, like especially if it's for things that you can do without. Sometimes it's like giving up sugar for a week. Yeah, that's good for your health. You'll probably eat less sugar after you've given it up for a week because you know you can live without it. Yay. Giving up social media for a week. Yay. You'll probably end up like using social media less because you figured out how fun it can be to just watch old movies again or play video games or whatever. What are your pronouns? She, her, hers. Canadian here would absolutely refuse Schengen with USA. Absolutely not. Why? Why, RPP? Why, though? Why, though? Why? You can't just say you would oppose it. I mean, you can. I'm not going to ban you, but I would prefer you explain why. Thank you for answering my question. I may not agree 100%, but you bring up multiple good points, and it's nice to hear other opinions. You're very well spoken. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I definitely go through my phases. I think I'm able to stay well spoken for about an hour and a half, and then I start to break down a little bit. My mind starts to go. I think I maybe need to make it more of a practice to take more regular breaks, probably. Gave up cigars, sugar, and booze for different years. Felt called out. Hey, that's cool though. I like that. That's dope. You keep doing it. Keep practicing those Lent sacrifices. They build character. By the way, I want to reiterate again, we are only $9 away from earning a content goal that you guys can take advantage of. You guys can empower us to do a live debate stream at 10 p.m. tonight, CST. But we are $9 away from that content goal. If you want to contribute to that, consider donating to my Cash App or via Super Chat. My Cash App's down below, Super Chat's to the bottom right. If we dissolve borders, how do we protect our citizens from cartel drug flow into the U.S.? Well, the biggest way you protect, in general, whatever we do at the border, the best way to protect Americans from the cartel trade is to legalize drugs and regulate them. Unironically, it would kill them overnight. Like, the cartel literally only exists and has a drug trade because drugs are prosecuted as hard as they are in the United States. If we simply legalized and regulated and ended the war on drugs, started treating it more like a medical issue, the cartels would instantly lose a giant chunk of their operating revenue. If we then combined that with a policy of opening immigration, travel, and tourism and stuff between our closest neighbors, then they would also lose their other biggest form of revenue, which is human trafficking. You can't exactly do the coyote thing if you can just come across at a legal port of entry and get a set of American paperwork documents that you're going to use for engaging in business in the US. Like, if it's as easy as like taking 2 hours at the border, getting processed through and popping out the other side, able to work and live in the US for as long as you want to, they're fucking bye-bye cartel. You've taken away their drug revenue, you've taken away their human trafficking revenue. The cartel doesn't exist anymore. It's funny. Like, you can look at U.S. prohibition of alcohol as a model for this. What ultimately ended up killing off the bootlickers? The end of prohibition. Thoughts on Cali trying their capital gains tax? Feels like mass exodus is now in full effect. Yeah, but there's plenty of people that have been wanting to move to California for fucking years. And if there is some mass exodus of people earning, like, would love to take advantage of that opportunity, that are way more progressive than the people that are probably leaving. It's like, but on the other hand, there's also this like constant narrative about California, right? And I just feel like this is another iteration of it. I feel like I've been hearing for the last 20 years of my life, so ever since I was old enough to really start paying attention to politics, I feel like I've been hearing this narrative that people are leaving California. But I also constantly hear about people moving into California. And I know for a fact that there are tons of people moving into California because their own statistics say so. So clearly, there's some kind of misapprehension going on here. Here you go. You have a great attitude, and I respect your non-biased responses and opinions. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say I'm non-biased. I would not say my opinions are non-biased. I do have a left-wing bias, but I would I don't adhere myself to some like perfect image of leftism. I just describe myself as a leftist and my ideas as leftist because, like, when I go to the political community looking for allyship on, for example, my opinions on the border, where do I find the most allies? On the left, right? So that's just where I end up. And so I'm not afraid of the left-wing bias that I bring to the issues that I talk about, but I also try to back up the things that I say with data and examples, which is probably what you're detecting. It's not a lack of bias. It's a willing to back up the shit that I'm saying with context, with examples, with data. I hear myself the fin, though. What a comment. What a fucking comment. You have a left-wing bias? I would have never guessed. Well, somebody in chat said somebody super chatted and said I didn't have a bias, and I just wanted to clarify, like, I do. At least I think I do. But I think that that's just a result of, like, the positions that I take being labeled leftist. Like, leftists care about the things that I care about, And it's just a tautology thing. If you're in Portland and you're just straight up wrong or you're lying, all kinds of people lie about Portland. Portland is like everybody's favorite city to lie about. By the way, thanks to your function, Wes Rue, I do appreciate it. We are now, hold on. Aww. Yay! Desi sent $9 on Cash App. So we have now officially made the goal. That means at 10 p.m. CST tonight, we will be having a fucking stream where we are going to have live debate. We're going to have some people on the call, or at least that's the idea. Hopefully we'll have some callers on. It'll be really interesting, but you guys can catch that at 10 p.m. CST tonight. I reckon we'll stay on this stream for another few minutes, and I'll be hopping off here probably in 10, 20, but for now, keep hitting that like button, keep donating, because every single dollar you donate to this stream helps me pay for upgrades to it, helps me pay my bills. This is an audience-funded channel, and you guys are the reason why I'm able to spend so much time doing this. I'll try to pop on if I can. Nice, Signar. Maybe I can have you on while we take some callers or something. I don't know. If you want to come on and do some callers with me, then I'll let you stay on for like an hour or two. But if you just want to come on and shoot the shit with me for a minute at one-on-one, I'm probably going to limit the one-on-ones to 20 minutes. That's something I haven't enforced in previous ones that I'm going to enforce this time. I'll DM on Discord a link while you're waiting. Oh, okay. Well, right on. Right on, right on. Screw politics. Which she's favorite ice cream? Mine is Sherry Garcia. Okay, you know what? You've got really good taste in ice cream. I'm just going to go with your pick, honestly. Cherry Garcia is like the best ice cream ever. Beautiful milk chocolate wrapped in that delicious cherry ice cream. Nice stream. Too bad you treat subscribers as scum. Huh? What? What did I do, Soen Live? What did I do? 20 minutes is pretty long. Yeah, but if you get me and go, you get me going at fucking a fuck conversation, I can go for 20 minutes. That ain't no problem. I disgust you? Jesus, that's harsh. Do you know Jesus? Nope, never heard of him. Never heard of him. You can just ban the dumb motherfucker that keeps Fed posting, by the way. You don't have to, like, let them hang around. The ice cream diverted from the most important question ever graced the stream. Oh, what did I miss? I don't know what I missed. I tried messaging earlier and was blocked for too fast a response. Oh. Well, I don't have, like, individual control of the mods. I mean, sometimes, like, if you send too many messages in a row, like, you know, like, sometimes you'll get penalized for that. You kind of got to be strategic with when you send a message in here. Surprised I'm not labeled Fed at this point. Well, you're not Fed posting. You're not asking, do you like assaulting federal officers? It's like, huh? By the way, I'm trans also. Right on, right on, right on, right on. I feel like I do attract, like, an outsized trans audience for sure. But that's cool, you know? We've all got a place here. What is going on that they're barking at? Well, you shouldn't have guilt. You can't help how you were born, Math Pig. Don't have guilt, Robbie. Don't. No, dude, just use that shit for good. That's what I do. Dude, you know how fucking pissed off you make white racists when you talk about black liberation as a white person? And I'm not saying I'm great at it, but at least I'm trying. Like, yeah, I am kind of privileged in the fact that I was born white, but I can use that to argue for things that people take a little more seriously for fucking racist reasons coming out of the mouth of a white person. I'm married to someone who's trans. I mean, like I said, I attract a wide and uniquely queer audience for sure. I see what you're talking about there. Yeah, I mean, like, whatever. It makes all the right people angry, and it makes all the right people know you're fucking doing good work. If you're white and privileged, shouldn't you be a billionaire? You don't have to be privileged. Wait, hold on. You don't have to be a billionaire to be privileged. It just means that, like, I'm less likely to have a cop, put their hand on their waist like they're, getting ready to grab their gun when they talk to me outside my window. Like, if I get pulled over, it means that I'm less likely to get discriminated against in matters of housing. Now, the fact that I'm trans might cause me to get discriminated against if I get to the interview stage, but the fact that I have a very white-sounding name is going to mean that I'm not going to be discriminated against for fears that I'm black when it comes to, like, housing or employment or anything like that. So those are just some examples of white privilege that don't necessarily translate to being a billionaire. It doesn't mean that you get everything handed to you. It just means that you've got things a little bit easier on you than someone of a different skin color. Now, like I said about being trans, for me, there may be other things in your life that also disadvantage you in some way. That's called intersectionality. So it's like disabled people. There are all kinds of disabled white people who have, there's like a whole field of study called accessibility, which is the idea of making things accessible to disabled people. And that's disability is something that reaches across racial and class lines, right? But it's still an axis of, well, what the left would call like an axis of oppression, what you can fairly call, without any bias, I feel like you kind of have to call it an axis of oppression. Honestly, you'll forgive me the left-wing terminology, but that's just the only way to refer to it and be completely clear about what we're talking about. Is that a bad thing, though? Can you blame someone for not wanting to rent a house to Daquan? Well, yeah. I mean, like, if Daquan's got plenty of references and plenty of fucking employment history, then why wouldn't you rent a house to Daquan any faster than you rent a house to a dude named John? Like, if you've got a dude named David and a dude named Daquan, and David has 3 references and 2 sources of recent employment, both totaling around 18 months. And then you've got Daquan, who's got 6 references and 24 months of recent employment history and more that could be gone over upon request. Which one are you going to rent your apartment out to? I know who I'm picking, and it's not the guy with the white name. What if he has crippling debt? Then he would not be unique among black people or among white people either. Like, he would not be unique among Americans in general. Like, he would not be unique among any demographic. Like, America. Do you know how fucking much debt this country is saddled with? What do you mean? Should we not rent a house to America either? If Miss America herself walks through your door and wants to rent an apartment, what, you're not going to rent a fucking apartment to her because she owes, like, what, $2 trillion in debt or some shit like that? Come on now. You don't believe that. In fact, I would argue that someone having a mountain of debt is proof that they must be doing pretty well, because in order to amass a mountain of debt, you have to have a mountain of income. See, like, a mountain of debt, what are we talking about here? Because when I think a mountain of debt, I'm thinking somebody who owes hundreds of thousands of dollars. That person is probably making plenty of money. No, what are you? How are you? You got to be kidding me right now. Wrong? Don't just say I'm wrong. Argue against me, because this is fucking irrefutably true. Credit agencies are not in the business of lending out hundreds of thousands of dollars to broke dick motherfuckers that can't afford to pay it back. There's no fucking revenue in that. They can't even afford to service the debt on a fucking mortgage. So why would you give one? Like, oh my God, people are retarded. People who owe hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, people who owe tens of thousands of dollars in debt, are not broke dick poor motherfuckers, usually. Now, I guess someone can become poor and still be left saddled with a bunch of debt from a life when they used to be a little wealthier, for sure. But that's not, like, the situation we're talking about here. You can lose your job and have crippling debt, for sure. But if you lose your job and, like, for sure, right? But we're not talking about somebody who's lost their job. We were talking in our example about two employed people, one of them with more employment history than the other, and you've introduced the factor. Well, what if one of them has crippling debt? Okay, well then, that, I mean, probably just means that they're making a lot of money and are able to at least service the interest on that debt. Otherwise they'd be going bankrupt and they probably wouldn't be looking for an apartment. They'd probably be trying desperately to hold on to whatever meager housing they did have. I don't think you know how debt works. I don't think y'all know how debt works. How about a non-political question? How do you feel about Discord about to require Face ID on record after already leaking? I think it's really fucking stupid. I think that the older I get and the more I think about this issue, the more I think that it's going to need to be some kind of, like, publicly accountable government administration that does this for every fucking country. And it's good because, like, individual companies doing this shit is just going to lead to more of these leaks. And it's just going to create a less accountable, like, if we've already consigned ourselves to mass surveillance. Shouldn't that mass surveillance have some kind of avenue of public accountability? Do we really want it in the hands of shareholders? That's why I oppose this, like, individual, atomized, company-wide, and specific approach to this age gating shit. Good credit, more money you can get? Exactly, which is why somebody with a mountain of debt fucking had to have good credit to get it. Yeah, 100%. Oh my God. You guys wear on my nerves. Even in towns with a fraction of the population and states with similar populations pale in comparison to the Midwest, I'm so frustrated paying double my rent in Virginia over Arkansas. So wait, what are you asking? Hold on. Oof. Oof. Hold on for a second. I gotta go outside. That's why you shouldn't smoke, kids. Get Nick sick. Take too many hits in a row. You clearly didn't know that 2 credit cards can pay each other off, giving you good credit. That's not how that works. I'm being punished for having the audacity to live close to somewhere with beach in the name, I guess, but Virginia Beach is a shithole. Yeah. I mean, people in Arkansas are getting fucked over by living in fucking Arkansas, so it makes you feel any better. I live in Mississippi, where the rents are some of the cheapest in the country. There's a reason for it. Here's the fucking fact. Here's the fucking fact about housing in a commodified housing market. Hold on, we got a super chat. $10 from Joey Fangus. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Used to serve as student loans for Department of Education. The small number of people who do pay and debtor contracts make up enough. The mass of little guys in debt. Too many kids now screwed, now being lied to. Damn. Well, I would be interested in hearing your thoughts on student loan forgiveness and like transitioning to a free higher education model, because like I feel like that is the more efficient way to run the system, but it does involve like paying off a ton of existing debt that has been taken out in the form of student loans. But yeah, I'm not sure I completely understand the comment, though. Let me see here. The small number of people who do pay and debtor contracts make up enough. The mass of little guys in debt. I'm not sure 100% what you're saying there, but I appreciate the $10. 100%. That is fucking kind of you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. What a wonderful chat I have. But yeah, one thing you have to know about housing in a commodified housing environment is I'm gonna turn one of these damn lights off. Holy shit. In a commodified housing market where you've got housing that is used as a commodity to be bought and sold, used as a thing to collect value, as a trading asset, shitholes will always have the cheapest housing. And if you see cheap housing somewhere, you kind of should assume that you're moving into a shithole. Because as long as you've got market forces acting on the way people get their housing, it's always going to make more sense to charge the least for utter shitholes in shithole towns and charge the most for places that are adjacent to better places or that have access to some kind of amenities or something. Like, you say Virginia Beach, and it's just like it's got beach in the name, but I'm guessing it's also got some beaches nearby. That's probably a big part of the reason why you pay so much in rent, even though it is like you said, it's still a shithole. Well, Arkansas is a worse shithole, Oh, can I ask, do you think college is a scam? No, I don't think college is a scam, but I think people have been oversold college as a path forward in life, when I think that there's like a lot of different paths forward in life. And I think it would have really been beneficial for people to have been pushing the trades over the last 30 years, because as it happens, A lot of the jobs that are being lost right now are jobs in tech, they're office jobs, and shit like that. And so, you know, um, a lot of the jobs that have been lost have been jobs in tech and shit, and those are jobs that people went to college for, and office jobs and shit like that, and all that's on the chopping block to be replaced by AI. Um, but a lot of these blue collar trade jobs, they still have a lot of like upward growth and industry expansion possible. Like, think about like HVAC people, their jobs have never been more secure. I mean, think about all the cooling systems these big AI data centers are going to need. I live an hour and a half away. In Arkansas, I live less than 30 minutes from the big tourist destination, the Ozarks, but really, damn. Yeah. That is a different situation than what I was expecting. Lots of AI systems and crypto mining are also going into old mines and caves. Natural free cooling protected by direct attack. True. Or protected from direct attack, I think you meant. So if you are stuck in your teens or 20s in a trap house, spinning the wheel of Midwestern states could pleasantly surprise you. Well, all right then. Well, I think I'm going to get off here for now. I feel kind of sick. I hope I feel better by 10 p.m. tonight. Anyway, at 10 p.m. CST, I'm going to be doing a stream where I'll hopefully have some live debates going on. Y'all make sure to check that out. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight, and I will see you all later tonight. Thank you all again for the donos and for the hangout. Bye bye.